With its honest wit and unique look at the American family, the groundbreaking comedy Married with Children broke new ground. Even so, the show's success did not keep it from being controversial. Because of one very controversial episode, the show was canceled before it should have been. Why did this episode cause so much disagreement that it ended this great show? Were the protests and complaints that happened after the show fair, or was it just a way to show the darker side of comedy? Join us as we talk about the controversial episode that got the show pulled from the air and caused a wave of reactions that fans are still feeling today. The American comedy show Married with Children aired on Fox from 1987 to 1997. Michael G. created and led the show. Moy and Ron Levitt worked together. As one of Fox's first original shows, the show was a turning point for the network, which was still new at the time. The Bundy family is the show's main character because they are a flawed and often unhappy example of an American middle-class family. The head of the family, Al Bundy, was a great high school football player when he was younger. He is now a shoe seller, but he is unhappy, underpaid, and always having bad luck. Being treated badly at home and having a low-status job. She is lazy and only cares about her stuff. So Peggy Bundy would rather buy things and watch TV than do chores or cook for Al. People know Peggy for having big hair, tight clothes, and a sharp mind, even though she isn't very good at cleaning. The typical naive girl is played by Kelly Bundy, who is the daughter of the D. Bundys. Her character is mostly funny because of her love life and general lack of brains, even though she is pretty. Bud Bundy is the smartest of the Bundy children, even though he is the shyest and most private. No matter how hard he tries, he can't satisfy his insatiable desire to be popular and great with women. At the time, family shows like Family Ties and The Cosby Show were more adult and clean. Married with Children, on the other hand, had very rude and inappropriate humor. The show didn't show a perfect family. Instead, it made fun of and emphasized a working-class family. The show had a loyal fan base and was one of the longest-running live-action comedies in TV history. Thanks to the show's popularity, Fox became the biggest name in network TV. Even though Married with Children was a successful show, it was often criticized for its crude humor, negative portrayals of women, and heavy use of stereotypes. Still, it was a groundbreaking and important show because it was brave to deal with difficult topics and try new things in television. The episode of Season 3 called I'll See You in Court caused a lot of trouble and caused Married with Children to be taken off the air. The show wasn't really taken off the air for good, but it caused a big uproar and was initially banned from network TV. I'll See You in Court was supposed to be the 10th episode of Season 3, but it never happened. Al and Peggy Bundy find out they were being secretly filmed while they are making love in the hotel room. The anger of both couples is so strong that they decide to sue the motel for invasion of privacy. The story itself was enough to make a lot of people look twice. A lot of sexually suggestive jokes and references were also on the show, which was against the rules for network TV at the time because it had been involved in some controversial situations before. Things went too far in this case. Fox, which shows Married with Children, didn't play the episode because it had sexual content. Since years ago, conservative groups have said that the show is too sexually explicit and has a negative effect on watchers. There was already fire on the network. A lot of people were afraid that the show's content would make the network look bad and that viewers and sponsors would not like it. After being taken off the lineup, I'll See You in Court was never shown again in the US for more than 10 years. The episode was shown on the FX network in 2002 as part of the show's distribution package. This was its last time being shown on TV. Morals had changed by that time, so the content was no longer seen as controversial. Even though "I'll see you in court" didn't instantly mean the end of Married with Children, things got worse between Fox and the show's viewers after that. Even though the show was originally banned, Married with Children ran for 11 seasons and ended in 1997. One of the many things that led to the end of the show was its falling numbers. As is common for long-running TV shows, the number of people watching the last few seasons of Married with Children steadily dropped. By the mid-1990s, the show's popularity had dropped a lot from its peak. Fans still watched, but not as many people as there had been beforehand. Television also changed a lot in the 1990s. Newer shows with their own style of comedy started to take over the ratings, drawing in a lot of viewers, beginning on April 5th. In 1987, Married with Children was something people had never seen before. The TV business looked like it had been hit by a tornado of debate and comedy. How did this show keep people interested like wildfire? The reason was that it was brave to show family ties. Other shows showed perfect families that solved their problems with love and knowledge. Married with Children, on the other hand, loved irony and chaos. The Bundes were always fighting with each other because they were a broken family with strange personality traits that brought them together. That family was different from all the others. It was impossible for people to look away from the disaster. The show was brave for being ready to try new things and question accepted norms. It used humor that was dark to downright gross, and it didn't shy away from talking about tough subjects. How did a show that caused so much disagreement last and even do well during the Reagan years? It was simple to understand. Disputes made people interested. Some watchers were captivated by the show's strange humor and often controversial topics, while others were drawn to it like a moth to a flame. As a selfish pleasure, it was a nice change from other family comedies that were too sweet and made family life look too perfect. People were interested in what would happen next on Married with Children, and the show was happy to take them on a trip. Even so, the show's rapid rise to fame was met with mixed reviews. The more people who watched Married with Children, the more debate it caused. People who support traditional family values saw it as a threat to society's morals, while people who didn't like it said it was gross and unpleasant. Fans of Married with Children seemed to be looking for more controversy and shock with each new season. The show is more daring in its irreverent humor and its readiness to talk about tough issues. An episode of the show called Her Cups Runneth Over caused a lot of trouble. Bundy and his friend Steve went shopping for lingerie on January 8, 1989, to try to find a good replacement for Peggy's beloved but no longer available bra. From Steve's touch of a dummy wearing underwear to an old man dressed in women's underwear and an awkward comment about being gay, the stage was set for comedy that broke the rules. Tir Recolta, a homemaker and supporter of traditional family values from Michigan, was deeply moved by this kind of material, even though it was typical for the event. Recolta's anger was very strong. She was on her treadmill and wanted to watch a family-friendly show. Instead, she saw something that would be better for late at night. Her kids screamed and ran out of the room, but she stayed to watch her anger grow with each sexually suggestive joke and situation. In one situation, a male dancer took off his clothes at the Bundy mansion. This was the last straw for Al, who saw Vicky, a woman, take off her bra. The answer from Recolta came quickly and was firm. She started a revolt against the show and went after its sponsors, who brought in most of the money. She was going to start a strong letter campaign against her sponsors, accusing them of supporting graphic pornography after doing a lot of research on them. Because of what she did, Coca-Cola and McDonald's stopped sponsoring the show. This made a lot of people in the advertising business angry. Fox moved Married with Children to a later time and toned down the show's content in order to reach a more adult audience and lessen the effect of the boycott. But the reaction had an effect that wasn't meant to happen. People were more interested in watching the show that caused such a big stir with Recolta's campaign and its content because of the trouble it caused. The approval rating reached its highest point, ensuring the continued success of Married with Children and unintentionally raising Fox's image in the competitive TV industry. However, Recolta tried to get rid of content that she thought was offensive, but her efforts made the show more famous. The show's creators and actors even sent Recolta flowers every year as a funny way to thank her for the publicity. There is a lot of history behind this TV event that involves public outrage, censorship, and viewers' unpredictable feelings. The Recolta ban didn't hurt Married with Children, in fact, it helped the show do well because it was funny and didn't follow the rules. There will never be another show like it on American TV. The Married with Children cast was laughing and making jokes, but a storm was building underneath. Even though the show is known for its risky and often divisive comedy, there was always trouble on set, especially between the lead actors, Ed O'Neill and Amanda Beers. Due to the fact that Beers was active in both acting and directing, there was tension between them that showed up in their professional lives. Beers not only played the smart character Marcy Darcy, but she also directed 31 episodes of the show. Because she felt like she had to do this, her relationship with her co-stars changed. It looks like Beers' new job has made a big difference in how he works with Ed O'Neill, who played the famous Al Bundy. The lines they used to say as characters now had to deal with expert feedback and artistic direction. But that wasn't the first time that Married with Children started to fall apart. Some people didn't like how the groundbreaking show showed women, even though it was ahead of its time. People who worked on the show were also among those who spoke out against it. Who played so well? Peggy Bundy said she didn't like how the show portrayed women in a sexist way. She saw that the show often made fun of traditional family values and society norms, which made women look bad. It was the same thing Amanda Beers said about Seagal's show being mean. She wondered if the show could still be popular in today's politically aware and progressive entertainment business, since it often showed offensive material. Views on how gender is portrayed in media have changed over time, as this critical point of view from the show's main stars showed. The fight between O'Neill and Beers was not just a problem between two people. It seemed to get into every part of the show and change the mood and energy of it. O'Neill said a few things about Beers' sexuality and how she had changed over the years. Beers' response to these comments showed that she couldn't understand or accept them. People had grown to love how close-knit the family was, but this split was very different. Some of the main cast members, like Christina Applegate and David Faustino, had great chemistry on screen even though the show was based on real-life arguments and complaints. This showed how strong they were in the face of hardship. The cast of Married with Children went through terrible tragedies and personal problems during and after the show's run. Katie Sagal, an actress who played the famous Peggy Bundy, went through a lot of pain and trouble in real life. Boris Sagal was a famous director of movies and TV shows who tragically died in a helicopter crash in 1981. This event had a huge effect on Sagal. The things around her also had a big effect on her drug problems, which started when she was a teenager. Grace notes Sagal's autobiography is about her fight with addiction and her steps to getting sober. Sarah Zwilling, Sagal's mother, died at the young age of 21 after a brave fight with heart disease. Sagal's death on the set of Married with Children was one of the saddest things that happened on the show. The producers were very sensitive when they changed the plot to show Sagal's very personal sadness. Christina Applegate, who played the famous Kelly Bundy, also had a lot of health problems. After being told she had cancer, she had a double mastectomy. After that, Applegate talked about how hard it is for her to deal with multiple sclerosis, a brain disorder that gets worse over time. The way she dealt with this news showed how tough and determined she was. Just like the real Bud Bundy, David Faustino had his share of problems on set. He said that he and his co-stars were having money problems because the cast and crew weren't getting any residuals even though the show was a hit. Faustino hit rock bottom when the show was over.